warm welcome to Goal Line Gossip. Here we are, back again, here to discuss our favorite sport, favorite league, and favorite teams. Myself, Jish Meister, representing Arsenal. We have Saul here representing Manchester United. And, oh, well, that's a beautiful t-shirt, though. Yeah, well, I gotta give you the compliment.
Thanks.
Where'd you get it from, eBay?
No, eBay is not in business anymore. I mean, they are, but nobody buys from eBay. But this is,
I hope you didn't give money to the Glazers. I hope you didn't give money to the Glazers.
This is not original. So.
Okay, no worries. Listen, iTunes Mag here representing Newcastle United. We have a blockbuster of a game week coming up. A lot of double game week, double fixtures for most of the teams. I believe 16 out of the 20 teams have double game week fixtures this weekend. And two of the fixtures are Manchester City facing off against Liverpool, and the two panelists here today, iTunes Mag and Saul's team, Manchester United and Newcastle going off against each other. So we want to start off talking about Newcastle here first. An article caught my eye today, something about something that was sort of a highlight news back in 2021 when Newcastle was being taken over by the new, investment fund-backed team that they have, the ownership they have, the new ownership. But it's resurfaced again. I want to bring this question to you, iTunes Mag. First of all, whether you believe that Newcastle is state-owned by Saudi Arabia, which, according to the rule books of Premier League and then the current CEO of the Premier League, is something that is not legal and will not be permitted by the rule books, or is it, as they're promising, that it's an private, commercially driven investment fund?
Well, this question been haunting all the Newcastle fans and even the Newcastle management from the beginning of 2020. The first time when PCP Capital or the PIF tried to overtake the club. And see, it took 18 long months legal battle between Premier League management and the Newcastle to convince them that it's a normal investment fund, not a sovereign country-owned club. So even in October 2021, the official takeover, 2 days prior to the official takeover, PL official statement came that Premier League has now received, and I quote, this one is actually what Premier League said. The Premier League has now received legally binding assurance that the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia will not control the Newcastle United Football Club. See, putting a member of the country's chairman as a stakeholder in the PCP does not mean it's a state-owned investment or state-owned government body to regulate the club. So if they have something legal thing to be put, it's always they can go on and investigate. But I don't believe Newcastle management or the owners are that stupid to put something like that in front of, after 1.5 years of season gone, and they put something like that to be questioned. And if it's a City or the upcoming Manu Qatar's negotiations ongoing, or is the PSG, no question will be asked. But since it's not a top 6 or big clubs or the so-called elite clubs, it will always get questioned. Right?
No, I actually don't think that's the case.
5 years.
I mean, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I'm just letting you know that PSG has been questioned left, right, and center. Things like why the World Cup was held in Qatar. There's conspiracy theories about, the French military, and being involved in getting deals through Qatar for air missile planes and things like that. But it's not like they're not in discussion. But I want to take your opinion beside all of this, legal jargon. What is your opinion on Newcastle being owned by, whether it's a fund, a public fund, or the state? At the end of the day, it's the source of the fund is from Saudi Arabia. How do you feel about it as a fan?
Well, see, it's always a tendency to put things like it's oil money. I don't know what's the conspiracy having the oil money. It's a legal business, right? They're doing it legally, absolutely fine. See, it's the non-footballing part. We can go on and go on and go on, and it's a never-ending debate. But if I come to a footballing part, how the owners are doing, how they plan to do it, the way they plan to investment on the club as well as in the city.
I do, Mag. I'm going to interrupt you again. I'll just let you know what the biggest qualm of the footballing world is about Saudi Arabia and these countries. The abuse of human rights, basic human rights, is what people are questioning. Clubs like Newcastle, or whether, with the future of Manchester United or PSG, because these are countries that are built on the blood of innocent lives. I'm sure you're aware of how Indian and Sri Lankan and Bangladeshi and Pakistani immigrants are treated in these countries. And that is what most human rights groups are opposed to. So, yeah, I just want to make sure that you understand that it's not, because of the fact that the money is generated out of oil. That's just a joke. Oil money, or, whatever you call it. The main problem is that these countries do not have basic respect for human rights. So, yeah, I'll let you finish your point.
So see, Middle East has been always been like they have been questioned on this ground. So if it's that's the case, then Manchester City takeover should be hurting in 2008, because it's not something it's been started for last 2 years or 3 years, just right before the Newcastle takeover. So every country is based on human blood. Every country has a history of putting people not in the right way they should be treated. We see USA, see Russia. So it's always been the difficult questions to ask. But I think it will be a better way to put in more in a footballing perspective rather than this political angles and everything, or the human rights.
Okay, the diplomatic answer. Go ahead. Anyway, I'll let you get.
No, I mean it's okay. I mean the way human rights, so they have every right to put things in human rights angle, how they treat immigrants and how they treat. That's something. It's a new stadium being built in any part of the world. There will be there. I agree that I totally condemn the fact that's something it should be taken care of properly. But that doesn't happen when a mass group of people working in the same way, building a stadium or building the infrastructure. Even in India, same things happen for a big structure establishment. So it's part of the operation. I could put it in a very debating way of putting a collateral damage. But that happens. Yes, human rights will say something like that, but we are more focused as a fan, as an owner, we are more focused on our footballing area, footballing development, the way we have, they have planned, it's beautifully portrayed. And I believe they have stakes in other parts as well, like Starbucks, in Uber, in Activision, the gaming organization, or even more in a proper way if I put Disney. So if that's been okay, if that's been okay, I don't understand what's the point of having the stake in Newcastle United.
No, absolutely. It would be hypocritical. I completely understand. Now I'm going to wave this question over to Saul, because they're in the midst of, final bids and negotiations of a Qatari takeover at Manchester United. While I'm super scared, I'll be honest, I'm shitting my pants here to see the club that generates the most revenue in the world to be backed by, Qatari oil money. Would you be happy as a Manchester United fan? Listen, I would consider you to be a legacy fan. Would you be happy to be backed by oil money?
100%. I think the way football as a sport is growing is based on commercial deals. It's based on how much revenue you have, whether it's how big your stadium is, what kind of contracts you have with media companies, or whether you have the money to attract the best players in the world or not. We've seen that, transfer prices have gone up, like for any players. So as salary, generally speaking, I'm not talking about a particular club paying a lot of money or buying a lot of players in one given season or in a transfer window. Generally, these prices have risen, and I feel like in the modern game, if a club wants to compete in top levels, especially in the Premier League, having that financial backing is almost a necessity these days. And I sort of feel like, what Aiton Mag was saying, I would like to echo that when it comes to, the humanitarian grounds and stuff like that, those are important issues. I completely agree. But again, like, we are already in the game. We are already in the midst of doing business with them, whether it's playing the World Cup in Qatar, players like Cristiano Ronaldo going to Qatar and being the main man, or them owning PSG and us facing PSG in the Champions League.
Ronaldo's in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, but I'm just talking about, all the Middle Eastern, things, whether it's City, PSG, Newcastle, or perhaps United in the future, who knows, right? So based off of that, I think, having owners who can back you financially, regardless of, I'm not going to the football brains and football knowledge yet, because I think money is a necessity these days. And if you look at the 3 bids that have gone in that publicly is known all over the world, one is by Sir Jim Ratcliffe, then you have the Qatari bid by Al Thani, and then you have I think it's a guy from Finland who has bid somewhere around the same money as well. But the only bid which is debt-free is the Qatari bid. And I know they are the richest, everybody knows that. And you might ask, hey, there's a reason why they're the richest, because it's oil money, a lot of weird stuff that happened in the past. But I sort of feel like, maybe the football sport in itself is going to change things for the future, right? So I'll give you an example. So we are all Indians here. We were under the British Raj. And here we are following a sport which was made by the British, right? We are following the Premier League. Honestly, if I go to my granddad and watch a World Cup tournament with him, he will never support England. And that's because of, all the things that happened in the past with England, whether it's cricket or football. But we are more forward thinking because, when we grew up, we had the access to media, television, watching, the best football all over the world. And that kind of changed our perspective. And I do believe that, with whatever the situation is right now, there are different cultures and there are different things. But if Qatar is trying to do what they're trying to do, and if it actually happens, the game will change and, certain things will get relaxed as well in the future. I know that it is a huge topic right now, but going forward, it will definitely change. So, yeah, I'm all in for
Right.
Qatari bid.
I got a question for both of you.
Yeah.
Just to test out the hypocrisy, did any of you revolt or protest the sanction that Roman Abramovich faced just last year, and he was forced to sell the club that he loved at the bottom of his heart? Did any of you protest it?
Well,
did you okay it?
I was fine with it. Because again, like being a fan of the Premier League, I know about Chelsea, I know about Abramovich, and regardless of what his nationality is, that guy was all in for Chelsea. I know that they're a club that changes managers every 2 seasons and, sells a bunch of players and buys a lot of players, but he actually loved the club. He was ready to give his heart and soul and all of his money and dedication towards the club, and he's always been like that since he's been in charge. So based on that, yes.
You were against the sanctioning of Roman Abramovich and him being forced to sell the club.
No, I wasn't. I was fine with the idea of if he can stay, because regardless of his nationality.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. So then you're not being hypocritical, because what I am taking offense in is a lot of footballing fans in the footballing fraternity. I saw them applauding the decision that the Premier League took because of, Russia's atrocious acts and everything, with the war that's been going on even now, um, certain Russian businessmen, including Roman Abramovich, was sanctioned in the United Kingdom, and he was forced to sell the club. If you're speaking human rights, it is hypocritical to let a club like Newcastle be owned by a state, or it doesn't matter whether it's state owned or not, to be owned by a fund that is the source of it is coming from a country where they strip people of their passports and they commit certain violations of human rights, which is at par with what Russia has done. That's where I'm coming from.
But in order to like answer the question more realistically, I think that he had to quit. There was no other way for him, and that is just because of the burning situation over there. It's almost like you are a CEO of a company and you are caught in a very bad scandal. Maybe you're not at fault, but since you're the CEO, people are going to say you should resign. So it's one of those situations, right? And I think the reason why he resigned is also a sacrifice that he made. He let go of the most passionate thing, probably, which was the Chelsea Football Club, for this burning issue. The situation that we have right now with the Saudis or the Qataris trying to own English football clubs is not a burning issue. Yes, there's a lot of history there, and not just history. There are things happening right now, but it's something which is not actually affecting the world immediately. If that makes sense. So I think he had to be fired, but if I had a chance to take the decision, I would try my heart and soul to save his job, because I respect him. I respect him as a club owner.
That's good. That's good. I mean, I like the fact that you're not being hypocritical. Now, Aitun Mag, do you share the same feeling?
Yeah, exactly same feelings. I love Ibrahimovic for being a Chelsea owner, because he wholeheartedly put everything for the club. There is no debate what he has done in his country or something like that. That doesn't take away the fact he loves the club. And country started the war.
You did not support the decision that.
No, I didn't. See, My first thing was, a country started a war with another country. What's Roman Abramovich have to do with that?
That is exactly.
He is not the person who said, "Fine, let's go to a war." He was just a businessman. No matter what, how he did his business, how he done his money, it's not a fact that Russia has a war against Ukraine.
He has those links to the Russian military and to the KGB and then KGB in the past. And I mean, listen, we're getting political here. Let's avoid.
Which love the club, and he should have. I mean, Premier League should be. Take away. Should put the sanction on Abramovich to sack. I would love to have him in as of any club which he loved. So
no, listen. Much respect, man, to you guys. I'm happy that I'm sharing space with you guys right now, where at least we don't have hypocrites amongst us. So that's good. At least we're all standing solid on the same point. So moving on to you guys playing off against each other. Do you have, listen, the last time you guys faced each other was in the Carabao Cup final. We know how it ended. It didn't end well for you, Aitun Mag. I believe that you were at a local pub for the screening. It was a special screening that was happening, and I'm sure you came back home dejected. Do you think it's going to be any different this time around? Talk to me about this game.
Yes, of course. I think we had a good. Last two games we were in a good position, won 2 matches in a row, and I believe few key players have came back. Joelinton is back, so yeah. I think this time we have a solid chances to upset the Man U right away, and they are already missing Casemiro. I'm not sure about the exposed area right now, but yes, we have everything we have to. So it will be a huge match. We are really looking forward to it, and there will be a competition.
I want to know from you, Aitun Mag, is Callum Wilson injured?
Well, he was out of illness, but I believe he's fit to. are not even the start. I think Isak will start, but will be on the bench. But we have a scenario with Almiron. Let's see how it goes. Almiron is a question, but not Wilson. Wilson will be back in the bench. At
I
least
see. Do you prefer Alexander Isak or
you can hear
Callum?
of the question. Yes, I do. I mean,
But
see,
if
Nobody likes
Callum
Callum
Wilson,
Wilson except for you.
I'm not sure why.
You have this
I'm not sure why.
weird thing about Callum Wilson for the last 2 years.
Okay, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Look at the game per minutes per goal ratio of Alexander Isak, and look at the ratio for Callum Wilson. Callum Wilson's compares with almost the
Look at-
numbers of
Look at who scored in the last game. There you go. You have your answer.
yeah. I mean, he was injured. But I wanna address this question towards iTunes Mac. Tell me, why do you prefer Alexander Isak over Callum Wilson?
see, yeah, Callum Wilson is a traditional number. He will play in penalty box. He'll hold the ball. He will take places. Isak puts a different variety. He comes in midfield. He goes in wings. Right now, our wingers, Anthony Gordon, Maximilian, Murphy. Murphy was the most prominent player in last 5 games, let's say. Miguel Almiron and Murphy all comes inside the box. That's when the variety of Isak comes in play. When he goes to the wing, the wingers and the attacking midfielders for us, it's mostly Jerrington or Bruno who comes in the middle. And that's what is happening for last 2 games. We see how constantly Isak is pushing the opponent defenders. Right now, Callum Wilson is a player who's a traditionally plays in number 9 role, which takes the ball from midfield or the wing. Then he pours or takes shots. But Isak is something a different breed. The wing
Right.
is
Who did you play against the last 2 games, Newcastle?
Isak. Isak started.
Who did you play against? What are the teams?
One I believe against was Bournemouth. I have to check. I forgot. It's a long weekend we had. So
Let me check.
The Nottingham Forest.
one is Nottingham Forest and
And
another
Wolves.
one is Wolves. Wolves, yes. So both the match we won 2-1, and Isak scored 3 in 2 matches. And I believe Isak has everything to push down the menu defenders right away. Big Casemiro is missing the game. Probably we can put a lot of charging there against the defenders and we can gain this. Yes.
Awesome.
There's one upset. Probably Botman won't be available because he was ill in his national camp and got released. But I mean, there's a 50% chance of him playing. But we are putting Shah and probably Lashley's in the place of
Lascelles and Fabian Schär. Yeah. Now listen, I think the midfield battle is unfortunately going to favor Newcastle. I'm just giving you my 2 cents about the game. With Casemiro not in the game, and I know Scotty McTominay scored 4 goals in 2 games over this break. I think 1 against Spain and 2 against Spain and 2 against Cyprus. But he scored 4 goals. It was an anomaly. But Casemiro is a big miss. Jokes apart. With Bruno Guimaraes, Joelinton, if Joelinton does play center midfield instead of left wing, and Joe Willock, I think they're going to have far too much control over the midfield. Is Eriksen back? No, right? He's out.
He's not.
Eriksen
Gonna be there.
Eriksen is slow. Yeah, so then you're probably going to be depending on Fred, Bruno Fernandes, and Marcel Sabitzer.
Sabitzer is
I
injured
think-
as well, just so you know.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I think the midfield battle is definitely being won by by Newcastle United. I think where is the game being played? St. James Park.
St. James, yeah.
Yes.
I think Newcastle is going to edge this one. That's my feeling. But what do you think, Saul? Tell me.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough match. It's not going to be a cakewalk like the final in Carabao Cup. Clearly because players are missing, and it's also like the first game after the international break, right? So probably going to be a smash and grab anyways for either of the teams. So it's going to be a close match for sure. But I feel that, if somehow we can score the first goal, that's going to be really good for us, because recently we've started playing in a formation where Weghorst plays a number 10. So as the game progresses, if we are in the back foot, or if we have not scored, it becomes a little like dicey in the end. And we also have to take note of the fact that Varane was injured before the last match, so hopefully he'll be back. Rashford was injured, that's why he didn't go to the international break. Although I think that was more like him dodging it so that he can be fresh for the Premier League match with Newcastle. And who's the other player? Garnacho is injured as well, with that nasty tackle. So we do have a lot of injuries, but at the same time, if we can somehow get the first goal and keep that pressure on, I think we can take it over the line again, because defensively we've been good, except for some diabolical matches in the Premier League with City and Liverpool. We do
7-0.
Okay, all right.
I missed that. I missed that cam.
Yeah, well,
And
we
I
all
didn't get
did.
the opportunity to speak. Well, no. I think you guys had a recording. I think you and the Bong Scouts, you guys had a chat. For sure you did. I missed out on it. And it was beyond diabolical. It was embarrassing. It was unacceptable.
I'll tell you what is embarrassing. After that match, Liverpool has not scored a single goal in the last 3 games. Salah missed a penalty against Bournemouth. So
Bournemouth.
clearly seems there was a one-off, because they're not playing well this season. I mean, they've been really crap. And I know that match was...
The one-off was against you guys.
Yeah.
The one-off was against you guys.
Absolutely. We just broke down. I mean, I'm pretty sure we could have ended the match in a 3-0 or a 4-0, but I don't know what happened. We were still trying to press, and we got into awful situation. And you also have to understand, this is a match where we played with 11 players. It's not like we went 1 or 2 players down. So conceding 7 goals,
You're shite.
it's something went horribly wrong. But anyways, I think we've recovered well from then. We had a horrible match against Southampton. So glad that we got 1 point out of it. Casemiro was again shown the red. Absolutely disgusting. But yeah, I mean, we ended up winning the FA match, which against Fulham. Have to say that we were super lucky. Fulham completely broke down. They got 2 players sent off with their manager, and the game changed there. But good for us. We are in the semis of the FA Cup, and we also qualified for the quarterfinals in the Europa League, which somebody didn't over here, is Arsenal. Get to that later. But yeah, it's going to be a very difficult match for Manchester United. Again, from a top 4 point of view, since Newcastle has sort of bagged 6 points in the last 2 games. I think if we lose this, they are probably going to go to... Will they?
Yes. We are just
you would,
points behind.
Yeah, and our goal difference is shambolic this season. I mean...
Wait,
you
are you
know,
guys really 2 points behind?
Yeah. I mean...
What about the number of games?
I think it's the same. Tottenham has
it is.
2 extra games.
Oh, you guys are 3 points behind, and Newcastle has a far superior goal difference.
Exactly. So like I said, our goal difference is absolutely crap this season. So we have to make sure that even if we don't win, to be very honest, I'll be very happy with 1 point, because with whatever is happening with Tottenham and Liverpool being able to play Arsenal, City and Chelsea not in the same order. Yeah, in the next 3 games, I think 1 point would be more than happy to take any day against Newcastle at St. James Park.
But I don't think Aitun Mag's open to taking any hostages. I think they want just 3 points.
We are looking for 3 points.
Of course, it's a replay, right? And it's in your home, and we have a very bad away form. Yeah, we have a very bad away form as well. So many injuries. You should definitely go for it.